This week marks 1 year since the Inflation Reduction Act was passed. If you've heard that and thought, the heck is the Inflation Reduction Act? Well, apparently you're not alone.
No, 7 out of 10 Americans say they've heard little to nothing about the Inflation Reduction Act. It's also called IRA, but don't get it confused with the IRA when you're talking about retirement, right?
I actually confused the two.
Yeah, exactly. So this poll was from the Washington Post and the University of Maryland. A majority of people polled also say they didn't know much about climate initiatives being spearheaded by the U.S. government.
So here's a little good news. 65% of the people polled said that they support expanded tax credits to support renewable energy projects. Overall, people generally supported the climate goals of the IRA, even if they hadn't heard of them before.
So in today's Facts Are Facts, we are giving you a crash course on the Inflation Reduction Act. The IRA was signed into law by President Biden August of 2022. It includes funding to fight inflation and reduce the price of prescription drugs for seniors, but it also aims to reduce the country's carbon emissions.
Yeah, the IRA helped fund renewable energy projects, and now President Biden says the U.S. is on track to get 80% of its energy from clean sources by the year 2030. It also making it efficient homes more financially possible, as the president mentioned in his remarks on the anniversary of the law's passage.
This law is helping families save thousands of dollars in energy bills every year through the tax credit and rebates to buy new and efficient electric appliances, weatherize their homes, install heat pumps, rooftop solar. As a consequence of this, it's estimated that the consumer is going to save at least $27 billion in electric bills between now and 2030.
And even though there are tax credits and rebates available through the IRA for everyday Americans, many people don't know where to start.
So Gina McCarthy was President Biden's first national climate advisor and the former administrator for the EPA, but now she has a new role as the managing co-chair for America is All In. She joins us now and walks us through the benefits that are on the table. Ms. McCarthy, thank you so much for spending time with us. We appreciate it. I mentioned America is All In. Can you break that down? What is that?
Well, it's an effort that started by Mike Bloomberg a few years ago, and we're going to expand that effort. It's a coalition of more than 5,000 people. We're talking about leaders at the local and the state level. We're talking about leaders in industry, business. We're talking about institutions, schools, faith centers. This is an opportunity for us to all work together to do what you're hinting at, not too subtly right now, which is that people don't know the opportunities of the Inflation Reduction Act. Look, this thing is a $370 billion investment in our future. It is doing exactly what the Weather Channel shows us every day, which is to take action on climate, or it's to our own risk and disadvantage. And this is doing it in a way that makes it beneficial for families, in a way that grows workers, in a way that focuses investments in communities that need it the most. This is the opportunity of our lifetime. And America All In is about grabbing that lifetime, that lifetime opportunity, and making sure that every consumer, every business entity, everyone that wants manufacturing back again in jobs, has an opportunity to invest, benefit from it, and move these actions forward.
All right, Gina, so how do you help people? Because it is overwhelming. Do they email? Is there something they do online? Can they call a number? How does that connection happen where you connect Americans to this money?
Of course they can, but part of this is also just working in your local communities. We certainly have opportunities for people to connect with the breadth of the opportunities here through federal programs and others. But a lot of this is going to be state run. A lot of this is going to be about advancing our local communities. A lot of it is going to be about every consumer understanding both the rebates they can get, the tax credits they can get. It's also about really rebuilding our manufacturing, Stephanie. And Jordan, you know this. We have to bring jobs back again. We have to start building this country. And we have to do it with clean energy. It's about disadvantaging fossil fuels while we invest heavily in clean energy, because that's our future.
Yeah, and you mentioned jobs being a big, important role. I know a lot of the headlines that come out of this talks about how the Inflation Reduction Act highlights large-scale federal projects, but why is it so important for the private sector to get involved and help this climate change angle too?
Well, because we need to reinvigorate our private sector here, our manufacturing sector. And we want it not to be about what it used to be, which is advancing fossil fuels. This has to be about how we rebuild clean energy right here in the United States. And what we're seeing is this is happening in red states and blue states. This is not about politics. This is about people. And what we're seeing is 44 states already have huge projects that have been invested in. We're talking about $278 billion in investments in the first year. This is a 10-year opportunity, not just one. So we're talking about 176,000 new jobs already. But just think about what we can do as we move forward. The challenge is, I think, to give people hope again. Look, we see the devastation that's happening as a result of climate change. We need hope. We need to turn that into an opportunity. We need families to understand that we can make this shift from fossil fuel to clean energy in a way that really benefits them. They will save money. They will have cleaner air. They'll have the jobs of the future. And frankly, the United States will be back again as the leader of the developed world in how we behave to show the developing world that we can invest in them as well. This is a worldwide challenge, but it is beatable if we work together. And that starts at the local community level, which is where I'm going to be hanging out. I'm going to be hanging out with states. I'm going to Ohio. I'm going to Florida next. I've been to North Carolina. We're talking to people all across the country about how we can really protect ourselves and our future.
If you get to meet Gina, you're lucky. She is one of my favorite people.
I was going to say, you're like the coach every team needs at halftime.
Yeah, she is.
Pump
the passion,
us up.
yeah,
Right?
all of it.
Let's
all right,
go.
Gina, so if someone doesn't get the chance to meet you and give you a nice hug, because you're also a good hugger, how can viewers learn more about the way they can save money or benefit from the IRA?
Yeah, go onto the federal website and type in Inflation Reduction Act. We know that's not the best name in the world, but it is the best, most game-changing thing we've ever done in climate.
And real quick, before you go, we'd like to at least get your take on what's happening in Hawaii right now.
Yeah.
We know the disaster caused by the wildfires, unprecedented, something the state and local offices weren't prepared for. As we see more extreme weather due to climate change, what can other states learn from this on how to handle climate-fueled disasters?
Well, first of all, let me say that I think my heart goes out to every family and everyone that's lost loved ones and those that are left behind. What I will indicate to you is that a couple of things need to be done. We need to be better prepared. These things can no longer be a surprise. We have to build with resilience. Part of the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed last year is about building back with resilience. We need to be prepared for these things. These wildfires are now freakish. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, from the wildfires in Canada that are basically bringing smoke right into my hometown here in Boston. Never seen anything like this. And what happened in Maui can never happen again. We need to build with resilience to understand the challenges we're facing, but we also need preparation. We need to have early alert systems. We need to understand how we can see the danger coming to us and avoid it with everything we have available to us. It was devastating, as you know. But when I watch this Weather Channel, which I do all the time, I love you guys. You know, you show in real life terms why we have to act now, why we have to think differently, not just about the future, but about tomorrow and the next day, how we protect one another.
Absolutely. Right. Gina McCarthy from America is All In. Thanks for joining us. We love you back.
Appreciate it.
Hope to see you in person sooner than later. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I want to get one of these hugs that you talk about.
Oh, they look good. She gives a good, nice, tight squeeze.
It's my favorite.